weather, not so jolly heading into the holiday weekend. For more on the ramifications, we bring in now AccuWeather's lead and chief meteorologist, Jonathan Porter. John, it's good to see you again as we try to make sense of this winter weather that is coming here to the Northeast, that has already hit much of the U.S. I was looking at FlightAware earlier, and man, those delays and cancellations are really stacking up.
Boy, Julie, good morning. They really are stacking up. As we spoke about yesterday, and AccuWeather's been warning for days in advance, the risk of widespread and cascading, far-reaching flight delays and cancellations, more than 10,000 flight delays and cancellations yesterday. And we talked about that because big hubs were affected, Chicago, Detroit, and of course, along the I-95 corridor. It wasn't the snow, it was the heavy rain and the gusty winds. Those winds have been a big problem overnight. We're dealing with hundreds of thousands of power outages now being reported into the AccuWeather newsroom here this morning. And that number is going to continue to mount. The broadness of this wind field is a big story. And Julie, I'm afraid that the flight and other travel cancellations are going to continue to be a major issue today as this rapid freeze up heads eastbound toward New York and the I-95 corridor.
Jonathan, what is in store for the East Coast?
Well, what we're dealing with right now, as you can see on the latest radar, is there's a little bit of rain across the New York City area and back in eastern Pennsylvania. But you see those blues, that's an area where across Pennsylvania where the cold air is surging in. And so temperatures in, for example, New York City were up near 60 overnight. They're going to be falling to 24 by 5 p.m. this afternoon. So that frigid air is on the way, and that's going to lead to a rapid freeze up. And what we're talking about with that is that the issue is that the roads are going to look like they're wet, but as soon as that cold air comes in and it comes rushing in, everything is going to start to freeze. So roadways and sidewalks, they might look just wet, but they're going to be a sheet of ice. We've already seen that with traffic accidents across Ohio and Pennsylvania, and that's what's heading eastbound toward the I-95 corridor. So be aware of that as we head through the day.
Jonathan, I'm curious. You mentioned that you guys have been warning about this, and it does seem like we had a decent amount of advance notice for this storm, for the winter weather. Is that typical for this time of year? Is it that the technology is getting better? Can you give us a little bit of behind the scenes here?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. I think obviously the accuracy and technology continues to get better and better. And we certainly are on the leading edge of that here at AccuWeather for both businesses and consumers all over the world. But I also think it's also the communication. It's how and we have a expertise with that in terms of how we message the weather impacts so that it can be most helpful for people to enhance their safety, their family's safety, and also for businesses to take the right actions. And so it's not only just having the right forecast, but it's also understanding the impacts to your business and having the right plan to take action. No longer can you just say, well, weather's just going to happen to me. You as a business leader, you have to be prepared and ready to take action. The forecasts and the insights are there. Now we'll see how businesses and governments take action with that here in terms of dealing with a very serious situation across the country that's going to lead right into the holiday weekend.
Considering how bad this storm has been, Jonathan, what is the broader read for how the winter will shake out?
Well, that's a great point. And actually, we've been talking about parts of December being quite chilly here for months in advance, but it looks like it's actually going to slowly moderate here as we head into January. So maybe a little bit more in the mild weather as we head into the central and eastern part of the country into the first part of January, but then probably getting back to winter here before too long heading into February. So that's the general look. And as we mentioned yesterday, this chill, although it is really intense, especially in the southern part of the country, will start to moderate by the time that we get to Christmas Day and beyond, which is good news. But look at the AccuWeather real field temperatures tomorrow morning. This is just downright frigid temperatures. AccuWeather real field temperatures in Atlanta, for example, well below zero. This is some dangerous cold. We've also been monitoring the Texas power grid, where so far the grid has held up. But the real test is going to be tonight when some of that wind backs off and the temperatures remain very cold. ERCOT believes that they're going to have enough power to meet the increased demand. But that's obviously something that we're going to have to monitor very closely.
All right, well, stay warm out there. AccuWeather lead and chief meteorologist Jonathan Porter. Good to see you again. Appreciate it.
Stay safe. Happy holidays.
Thanks. You too.